The time is 8:45. Here is the news edited by Danushka Madhavala, read by Victor Raj. First, take a look at the headlines of the local news. Island-wide travel restrictions will be imposed from this Friday. The government will consider the possibilities to treat COVID-19 patients who do not show any symptoms at their respective houses. The Prime Minister says that he is deeply concerned about the latest outbreak of hostilities within the Israel-Palestinian region. People are requested to refrain from using Vesak decorations made of polythene and plastic as much as possible. Israel kills militant commander after Palestinian rocket fire. US calls for peace. Local news in detail. An island-wide travel restriction will be imposed from this Friday. Army Commander General Shavendra Silva said the travel restriction will be imposed at 11 p.m. on the 21st of May and will continue until 4 a.m. on the 25th of May. General Shavendra Silva said the restrictions will be imposed from 11 p.m. on 25th May until 4 a.m. on the 28th of May. He further said the night-time travel restrictions imposed from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. daily will continue from today until the 31st of May. Minister Pavitra Vanniyarajah says that government will consider the possibility to treat COVID-19 patients who do not show any symptoms at their respective houses. As per the first phase of the project, around 21,000 patients who were currently receiving treatments will be categorized. Accordingly, guidelines are now preparing to treat patients who do not show any symptom will be treated at their houses. Other relevant guidelines will also be created. The patients concerned will be taken regarding the possibility of infrastructure facilities of their houses to getting treatments. A full medical inspection will also be done prior to sending the patients from the treatment center. Meanwhile, a decision has also been taken to direct COVID-19 patients to treatment facilities or intermediate care centers that are closest to their area of residence. The decision had been taken during a meeting of health experts chaired by Health Minister Pavitra Vanniyarajah and attended by State Minister of Primary Health Care, Epidemist and COVID Disaster Control, Dr. Sudhasini Fernando Pillai this morning. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa says that he is deeply concerned about the latest outbreak of hostilities within the Israeli-Palestinian region, which have already caused untold suffering for the people on both sides of the conflict. The Prime Minister in a statement said that apart from causing much harm and misery to the people living within the territories concerned, including the deaths of many children, this is a conflict that has the potential to spill over into the neighboring region, thus igniting a conflagration that would have catastrophic consequences for the entire world. The creation of the question of the Palestinian people was a direct consequence of the colonialism and the fact that the people of this region had no control over their own destinies. When the seeds were sown for the conflict that were experienced today, as a long-time supporter of the Palestinian cause and the founder president of the Sri Lanka Committee for Solidarity with Palestine, I have always held the position that the Palestinian people's legitimate right to statehood must be upheld, the Prime Minister said. The preservation of the rights of the people is important for the assertion of their identity as a distinct people. For a durable solution to the Palestinian question, it is imperative to recognize the legitimate and sensitive security concerns of both the Palestinian and Israeli people. Meanwhile, issuing a statement to Sri Lanka Foreign Ministry says that Sri Lanka remains deeply concerned over escalating violations between Palestine and Israel. Foreign Minister has already conveyed to the ambassador of Palestine to Sri Lanka 3 days ago Sri Lanka's deep concern over the situation and the interest to protect the rights and the lives of the people of Palestine. Sri Lanka urges all parties to cease conflict and restore peace and to take steps to avoid any risk of a threat of instability to the wider region likely to arise from among developments. Drug kingpin Vele Sudha has been prevented from being escorted outside of the Busa prison. The Court of Appeal today ordered that the prisoner shall not be escorted outside of the prison until the 24th of May. The petition filed by Vele Sudha's mother raising concern over his safety had been taken up for hearing today. The woman had claimed that there were attempts to murder her son, Vele Sudha, and to prevent him from being handed over to the police. The court's verdict comes on the back of the deaths of two underworld figures who were killed while under police custody recently. The first program of Colombo City project will be implemented under 2 phases. The investment of this program is $100 billion. These 2 phases will be completed at 2025. Under the first phase, a modern office complex building will be constructed in Port City area. The second phase is also comprised a modern office building complex and retail store platform. These details were revealed at the COPE committee meeting held at the Parliament recently. That ends local news.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddha Lepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddha Lepa, the Vidya Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddha Lepa Vidya Mahatmya.
The Minister of Environment, Mahinda Amaravira, has requested the public to refrain from using Vesak decorations made of polythene and plastic as much as possible when decorating houses and premises for the Vesak. The Minister of Environment has requested a report from the Central Environment Authority on the expenditure incurred on the annual consumption of polythene and plastic products in Sri Lanka and the imports of plastics and polythene products. According to the information revealed by the Central Environment Authority, the annual expenditure on importing polythene and plastic from the country is 58 billion rupees. The amount of polythene and plastic imported to the country annually is 177,197 tons. The minister said today 7.1% or 12,636 tons of the imported products are recycled. The remaining 92.09% is released into the environment. That came to you on Main News Story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddha Lepa Vidya Mahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddha Lepa.
Moving on to Watchlight, the government has requested the public to minimize visiting temples on Vesak full moon Poiri this year and to commemorate this important day in accordance with the Amisa Puja. This request is being made to the public to contain the spread of COVID-19 in the country. Therefore, the Minister of Environment, Mahinda Amaravira, requests the public to limit the use of polythene and plastic decorations for houses and other premises during the Vesak period. The Minister of Environment has requested a report from the Central Environmental Authority on the expenditure incurred on the annual consumption of polythene and plastic products in the country and the import of plastics and polythene products. That ends Watchlight. Moving on to world news, let's take a look at the headlines. Israel kills militant commander after Palestinian rocket fire. US calls for peace. Very severe cyclone to hit COVID-battered India. UNHCR says more than 650 illegal migrants rescued off Libyan coast. World news in detail. Israel killed a senior Palestinian militant commander in a heavy airstrikes on Gaza on Monday, and Islamist groups renewed rocket attacks on Israeli cities despite mounting international calls for a ceasefire. As the fiercest hostilities in the region in years entered a second week, U.S. Secretary of the State Antony Blinken urged all sides to protect civilians and said Washington was working intensely behind the scenes to halt the conflict. Gaza health officials put the Palestinian death toll since the hostilities flared last week at 201, including 58 children and 34 women. India's western state of Gujarat is braced for a landfall of a cyclone Taukte, which is likely to be strongest to hit the region since 1998. The storm has rolled up India's western coast over the past 2 days, with 6 people killed and thousands evacuated. Efforts are underway to rescue more than 400 people stranded off the coast in 2 commercial barges. The cyclone comes amid a second COVID-19 wave that has overwhelmed India's healthcare system. The meteorological department said the storm had now intensified into an extremely severe cyclone storm. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees today said that more than 650 illegal migrants have been rescued and returned to Libya. Over 650 persons were returned on Sunday to Tripoli by Libyan authorities. The UNHCR tweeted early Monday. Survivors deported aboard 4 rubber boats from Zuwara, western Libya, and were intercepted, rescued, and returned in 2 different disembarkations. UNHCR and International Rescue Committee offered urgent humanitarian and medical aid to all survivors in the UNHCR said. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Israel kills militant commander after Palestinian rocket fire. US calls for peace. Very severe cyclone to hit COVID-battered India. UNHCR says more than 650 illegal migrants rescued off Libyan coast. That ends world news. Moving on to development news, Fisheries Minister Douglas Devananda said large-scale development projects that were suspended by the previous government will be restarted. The minister said that discussions were held with the Asian Development Bank to restart large-scale development projects that were suspended during the previous regime. The ADB officials and the ministry officials held a virtual discussion recently to develop fisheries industries in the northern province. Minister Devananda had requested the ADB officials to investigate the development projects that were halted during the previous regime and take steps to resume them. That ends development news. Sports news is brought to you by...
When Aya bought a motorbike, he bought 2 helmets. So sweet of him. I'm sure the other one is for me.
In whatever we do, we Sri Lankans are always thinking of others. When we get Munchie Super Cream Crackers, they're not just for ourselves. Munchie Super Cream Cracker. Super kiyanne nikan neve.
Soccer news. Several former footballers have launched a parliamentary petition calling for an independent regulator in England football. Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher, Rio Ferdinand and Gary Lineker were among 23 ex-players and journalists to undersign an open letter to fans. They say April's European Super League attempted breakaway demonstrates the need to reform the game's governance. The petition was signed by more than 20,000 people in the first hour for it to be considered for a parliamentary debate 100,000 signatures are required. That ends the sports news.
My wife always sets a full lunch table, even if it's just the two of us. She always expects people to drop by, like maybe the army.
In whatever we do, we Sri Lankans are always thinking of others. When we get Munchie Super Cream Crackers, they're not just for ourselves. Munchie Super Cream Cracker. Super kiyanne nikan නෙවෙයි.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Pan-Asian Power PLC, one of the Sri Lanka's leading green energy solutions providers, posted a consolidated net profit of 248 million rupees for the financial year ending March 31st, 2021, signifying a growth of 63% compared to the financial year 2019 and 2020. The group saw a revenue increase of 62% in the final quarter of the year 2020-21 when compared with the corresponding quarter in final year 2019-20. Net profit margin also grew year-on-year by 7%. That ends business news.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
The Sri Lanka Export Development Board has made arrangements to facilitate export-oriented industries based on the circulars issued by the government health authorities to continue operations of their activities during lockdown of specific areas in the country and inter-provincial travel restrictions subject to strengthened health regulations. Rather stringent health regulations, the export-oriented industries are allowed to function within a biosecure bubble by ensuring secure workers under the close supervision of area MOH, while agricultural activities are permitted normal operations with a strong compliance to DREAM, that's distance, respiratory etiquette, aseptic technique, mask. That ends economic news.
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
The Met Department shut Shahsotan Shahsilak at several places in the central, Sabaragamu, Uva, western and north central provinces during the evening or night. Fairly heavy falls, above 50 mm, can be expected at some places in central and Uva provinces. Several spells of showers occur in the western and northwestern provinces and in the Gol and Mathura districts. That ends with the report.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
A recap of headlines to wrap up the night news on Radio Sri Lanka. Island-wide travel restrictions will be imposed from this Friday. The government will consider the possibilities to treat COVID-19 patients who do not show any symptoms at their respective houses. The Prime Minister says that he is deeply concerned about the latest outbreak of hostilities within the Israeli-Palestinian region. People are requested to refrain from using Besak decorations made of polythene and plastic as much as possible. Foreign news, Israel kills militant commander after Palestinian rocket fire. US calls for peace. That ends the night news broadcast on Radio Sri Lanka.
Giving you the greatest cash prize in the history of lotteries with 230 million rupees. Mega Par now every day of the week. Making you a millionaire every day. Buy your Mega Par tickets today. Mega Par from the National Lotteries Board.
This is Radio Sri Lanka. The time is 5 minutes past 9 o'clock. The final program for the day, 17th day of May 2021 on our airwaves, FM 97.4, 97.6. Family Choice kickstarts now with the selection of Selin Sen featuring the first track right here on Radio Sri Lanka, Selin Sen. A big hi to you listening to us all the way from Nuge Kuda.